we're all going to be paying attention to this game for multiple reasons, right? One, Ole Miss comes to town next week. Two, kind of want to still learn a little bit more about Kentucky. You got kids deciding in their 5th year that they're going to redshirt. Not really. They're kind of quitting so they can transfer, but they're going to redshirt. And you got an 0-2 start, 0-3 is on the table. Of course, the slate behind that cleans up a little bit. So Wildcats can certainly get back into the mix for a bowl game, even if they lose this weekend. But nobody and hey, look, we're starting to turn the page. I'm not big on like except for the like fumbles and things like that. I'm not big on total defense, total offense, like all those big time stats everybody stares at. Give me a month before we start really getting into that, right? At least we start peeking at it. You get some trends as to who can do what. You still have to look at the slate in which they've played, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you can start to get a general idea. Anybody out there, everybody talks about Ole Miss's offense. Anybody realize both defenses in the game this weekend, top 12 in the country? Kentucky's got the 6th ranked defense in college football. They've played the Gamecocks. They've also played a team named Georgia, in case anybody forgot, and they lost by a point. Ole Miss has the 12th ranked defense in college football, 1 spot ahead of Bama. Those just happen to be the next 2 opponents for Carolina. So the Gamecocks going to have to get healthy and get some points on the board like they did. Well, that'd be nice if they can get 50 on the board like against Akron. But do y'all think that this could be more of a defensive game than it's getting credit for right now? The total, by the way, is at 52.5.
Depends on if Kentucky can run the football and melt the clock. Ole Miss can't score when they're off the field. That's my opinion.
Well, I like your opinion. Big fan.
Yeah, I don't know if Kentucky – I just don't know where that offense is. I mean, I think if you're a Carolina fan, you should be pulling for Kentucky to win every game possible. It would have been it would have been an eye-opener after destroying the Wildcats in Lexington to see Kentucky bounce back and beat Georgia. That just gives that win more credibility. So you kind of want, no matter what your personal feelings are about Kentucky, kind of want them to be legit this year. And even though there's no net in college football, there's still things to play for in the postseason, and that would be a nice kind of feather in the cap to say, hey, we whooped up on a really decent, at bare minimum, team on their home field. I mean, I personally think Ole Miss is just going to be too much for them.
I do too.
Yeah, I mean, I just think Ole Miss has got too many weapons, really on both sides, but particularly on offense. And I don't see Kentucky. I think JC's right. They have to run the ball. I just don't know if they'll be able to do as much. And I don't think Brock Vandegrift is striking fear in much of anybody these days in that Kentucky passing game.
No, there's a hole in the spider web. It's like somebody threw a baseball through the Kentucky spider web, and they can no longer like pull you in like they used to, right? It's just not the same team. But I don't know. I don't think Kentucky keeps it close. I think there's a lot more wrong up there that off the field that will manifest itself on the field, and that's what I'm worried about. Now I think Ole Miss rolls.
JC, can I ask you a question? I was just see if maybe you knew the answer to this. You're the historian. I'm a historian myself, but not like you. I'm not 68 years old. I'm just kidding, man. So I was looking at the history of this series, and Kentucky has not won in Oxford since 1978. Now, granted, they haven't played every year or anything like that, obviously, with divisions, et cetera, in college football. But one thing I did notice was up until 1960, they played off and on from 1945 until 1960. If they didn't play in Lexington, they played the series in Memphis, and then after that, they played in Lexington and Jackson, Mississippi until 1986. Well, do you know where that was?
The Memphis thing, Ole Miss is near. I mean, you've been there.
Well, I know that.
It's way close.
Like, why wouldn't they play it at home?
Ole Miss, Mississippi State, both for a long time played. It was like Arkansas used to play a bunch of their home games in Little Rock. Alabama used to play, like, if they had 7 home games, 5 would be in Birmingham and only 2 in Tuscaloosa. That's kind of the way it was. And if I'm not mistaken, Ole Miss, Mississippi State both played a significant amount of games in Jackson. I don't know what the stadium there. I don't even know if it's still there, but they did that.
Isn't that where Jackson State plays?
Well, I don't know if it's the same stadium. I mean, you're SEC football games were getting 50, 60,000 even back in the day. So
yeah,
I'd have to. I have not. I'm sad to say I've not Googled old timey stadiums. What is the Jackson, Mississippi version of Legion Field? Would be my question.
Hey, Auburn, Georgia used to play in Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah. I mean, the Iron Bowl was in Birmingham every single year until
Jackson is almost right smack dab in the middle of the state of Mississippi.
That's state capital. Yeah.
So obviously that's probably why they played that there, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, but a lot of the school, like Arkansas, always played in Little Rock. Alabama played in Birmingham. Ole Miss and Mississippi State both played in Jackson quite a bit. I think the Egg Bowl actually was in Jackson every year for a long time. And as on-campus stadiums, I mean, just like Clemson, South Carolina was always in Columbia.
Mm-hmm. Still should be.
So I have an answer for you on the Jackson thing.
Producer Phil, the Golden Domer coming through.
Thank you,
University of Mississippi used to play many of its home games at Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium in Jackson, Mississippi, all the way up into the mid-'90s. The Egg Bowl was played there annually from 73 to 90, and it was originally built in 48, expanded to, in 1960, 46,000 seats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about
is
that?
Is it still there?
Stadium is now the home of Jackson State University, so it is. They are playing in the same place. Yeah.
We saw it on TV when prime time was good.
So I found there's a Hughes Field there now. What is Hughes Field? It says Jackson. That's not what you're talking about.
No.
Okay.
I don't know what Hughes Field is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Tune in next week for the latest
in
history from the great state
middle of nowhere football field in Mississippi, being the hotbed it was back in those days.
The football stadium is not on campus at Jackson State, I don't believe, right? And you said it's somewhere in the middle of the town.
Yeah, I don't think. Let's see.
I don't think it's in.
No,
I don't think it's on campus. And so, that's a haul for Kentucky.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm like,
God, Lexington to Jackson, Mississippi. That's a trip.
Looks kind of like the Liberty Bowl if they took out the 2 end zones, like the sombrero look. Looks kind of like the Liberty Bowl a little bit. So not a bad looking spot.
No, it's pretty neat little ballpark. I don't think Kentucky's going to get blown out this weekend. I actually think there's something there that will keep them in the ball game. I just hope that there's enough for South Carolina to. I mean, obviously they'll learn plenty because they're going to watch the game, but I just hope we learn a little bit more about or enough about this Ole Miss team that allows Carolina to do something special next weekend. Because I mean, Ole Miss they just haven't played. I feel like we know more about Kentucky than we do Ole Miss, right? And
we do based on performances, but I mean,
they got players.
They got players. Like, it's not like they're
football players.
Freshmen, highly recruited kids, and we're not really sure if they're legit or not. They just have proven commodities. They are an example of you can use the portal to get much better. Mm-hmm. And Lane basically told their giant collective over there, which is outspending the majority of SEC schools, hey, I need 10 of these players. If you want to be like next level good, then raise as much money as you need to get me 10 of these players. He had a list, and they got the 10. So those 10 combined with Lane's coaching, which he's come a long way, combined with you got Jackson Dart. I believe he's part of I have a list of the $2 million a year quarterbacks. I'll do that on the drive around the SEC tomorrow. But they've got Jackson Dart's playing phenomenal. They've got 2 stud wide receivers, one who and the other one is actually better than Juice. You've got everybody wanted Walter Nolan in the portal. They got him. Like they are a portal program. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I think for right now, in the last couple of years for Ole Miss, it's been pretty good to them.
Yeah, you wonder those type programs. You wonder what happens to them if they hit a strong level of adversity. And Ole Miss
Players start checking out.
Yeah, I don't know. What does the program mean to them? I mean, that's a valuable. I think that's a real question.
Very valid point.